in a short while I'll be in the chat as well. Just give me a moment to get everything done. I mean, the advantage here is I'm here anyway. I don't go home till tomorrow. The idea was, as I said before, historically this tournament did very well. Last year was a national tournament. They had over 160 players. The year before that was a regional tournament, also had 120 plus players. And so this year the anticipation was that there were going to be more players than there were yesterday. Unfortunately, it turned out to be not to be the case. So I'm here anyway, and we figure it might as well. If they're going to play some games, then might as well stream some. Maybe I'll play a game. How about that? What else do I need to say? I need to put this on. I need to get this started. Start timer. There we go. I mean, I suppose I should put a round number on the screen, but like I say, it's kind of a casual game. I mean, they're doing a tournament, but I don't think there's any prize in it.
Ruciński, Piasecka, Piotrek.
Patrzcie się zdobyć, czego chcesz.
To jest idiotą.
Fajnie patrzeć.
Piotrowski, raz byłem na nim.
To wszystko twoje, moja rej na końcu.
Najpierw
Podpisz się.
mamy dwójeczki.
Ja.
You know that, huh?
Can I put it here? Or? Yeah.
Find out. I didn't know if you realised that.
That I didn't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Wiem jaką chcesz. Z cukierkiem? Taką rozpuszczalną? Z mleczkiem? Zdecyduj się. Bzy?
Z odpadkami?
Okay.
Za 800, 430.
Rej.
It gives me the opportunity to experiment a little bit.
Sprawdzałeś ten?
I'm just realising now.
Ceny.
I've got that tripod leg and camera there.
Powiedz mi
I
tylko,
have to try and I can mess around with it a bit.
Ma 2 punkty mocy i jak macie co w kontaktu, może zamienić sobie blanka też, oprócz tego oka, bo moc normalnie zamienia oko. Ma załogę trafina, który zawsze dodaje punktowość blanka, czyli zawsze mogę tego jednego blanka mam, czy będę mógł go zamienić ewentualnie. Mam do tego tytuł soku, czyli to jest tak, że jeżeli mam 2 lub mniej stresów, to mogę jeszcze obracać wieżyczkę, robić boosty i robić slupa takiego, już trójkę za wrotkę. Senior slup, czy jak się nazywa. I roastico jeszcze mam, jako załogantkę i ona pozwala mi w obronie lub w ataku wydać jeden z moich wyników na to, żeby założyć target lock na tego, który mnie atakował. Czyli jeżeli ja atakuję Ciebie na przykład przykładowo rzucę 3 blanki, to mogę jeden z tych blanków sobie zamienić mocą, jeden wydać na to, żeby założyć target lock i nawet jeszcze jeden od razu go wydać i przerzucić tego trzeciego blanka. Na przykład. Jak się bronię, tak samo, jeżeli wyrzucę 2 blanki, tak samo w obronie mogę zamieniać blanki na evade z raid. Tylko, że to jest za punkt mocy. No tu masz bomby i trajektory, czyli mogę 5 do przodu wypluć.
Dobra.
Okay.
Powodzenia.
Dobrej zabawy.
I'll do. The iPad out.
Ja byłem, wejście było chyba na kwietnia, byłem raz, ciągle to, a już hitem było jak zaczął padać śnieg,
To jest znaczek na górze, ten taki biały pokazuje,
Tak,
który ma.
dokładnie tak. Ja na początku też tak tu szukałem jakiegoś... Czekaj,
Co chodzi? Przecież to pokazuje kilka manewrów naraz.
Trzeba się do tego przyzwyczaić, no. To fakt.
Standardowo jest jedna akcja.
Okay, I'm on chat now, so thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, do let me know. I'll be fully interactive with chat today. What do you tin is going through their heads? TikTok one shot. I've got that angle's crooked as well. I've got to lower it down on the left side, like one straight or full blast.
Z kolei na bomberze mam
Through the
to,
bombers'
że
heads?
mam weteran turret
I don't
gunnera.
know.
To jest coś takiego, że jeżeli strzeliłem z podstawowej broni pierwszy atak wykonany, to jeszcze w tej rundzie mogę wykonać dodatkowy atak z arka, w którym jeszcze nie atakowałem.
Okej.
I page tico daje
So what we
mi
got here is obviously it's going to be a bit difficult to follow along with the ships here, but it's not too hard. Let me switch over to the main camera,
Ja bym się tak nie cię.
and then you can see
Ja mam 5 bomberów. Mam swarm bomberów.
Tak jest.
the lists.
Zaczynamy. Moja jedynka.
So we've got Karol,
Faza
Krol.
podstawowa braku tam
He's
była-
playing a Scimitar Squadron pilot. Are these barrage rockets doubling up?
Chociaż nie jest.
Right, I'll definitely fix that today. Even though barrage rockets won't be legal anymore, but anyway. They're on everything. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's all. Yeah? Yeah, there we go. So Karol's playing a Scimitar Squadron pilot with barrage rockets and seismic charges, and there are two of them. So, yeah, basically he's got one of them is one of the Imperial veterans, the grey and white striped, the Scimitar, and the other one is a standard. Then he's got 2 Gamma Squadron aces. Of those, they're both the original models, but one of them has the torpedo launching port painted, the exit port of the torpedo tube painted orange. Which is why I've marked it as yellow on the overlay. And Captain Jonas is in one of the veterans, the grey, light grey, white striped bombers. On the other side of the table we've got a Cobalt Squadron bomber and Ray, so it should be interesting to see how the bomber stacks up. It's not really got. I don't see it. I do think this is going to end up being largely bombers just blasting stuff on the table, because I can't see that resistance bomber lasting one round, more than 2 rounds against the bomber squadron. I mean, obviously it's going to launch. So yeah, I didn't talk about the list. So Ray, for some reason, hasn't got any upgrades on her, so that's not right.
I zrobi sobie...
So what's he got? He's got the Scavenge Millennium Falcon. Looks like he's got Finn and Rose Tico maybe. Where's my phone at? Let's try this again.
Okej. Co? Możemy kręcić dalej.
Save squads. Where is he? Piotrek. Ray. So messed up there. Edit.
Mikołaj. No.
So replying to TikTok one shot in the
Mogę sobie śmieć?
yeah, I do plan at some point on getting to Worlds. The only problem is I tried last year. The only problem is if I go to Worlds, like for example, I need a little bit more help because my setup is a bit more complicated than some other people's, and I need a bit more help from people that are local because I can't necessarily carry all the stuff I need, and I need to know how I need some local on the ground help. Maybe this year, but who knows? I'll tell you what I've always wanted to do, and I've said that to them since the very beginning. You know, I'd love to just go and help with the FFG stream, just give them a hand of just upping up, not the quality, but like helping them kind of complete their package. You know, because that's the issue they have is they've got obviously for the FFG live stream, whatever you want to say about it, they have
Wszystko moje.
the best access to equipment as far as video is concerned, and audio as well. They've got the best access to equipment, and nobody showing up in their little what's the word for it in American? You know, the minivan, I guess. Showing up in your minivan for the stuff, like you're never going to be able to compete with what they've got. They've got an installation. They've got that cage that allows them to run wires over the top and mount cameras above, mount cameras on four sides. If they had the cameras, and they're using SLI technology to do the feeds as opposed to what we're doing, the hobby streamers, I should say, is using HDMI and stuff like that. So they've got a lot more flexibility in that situation.
Czy to sięgnie, czy nie sięgnie.
Now,
Nie wiem, czy chcę ryzykować.
so FFG have got like the best in terms of quality, and they're not that far from having the best overall package. They're just missing like the little things that kind of complete it, and maybe it's just they're not quite sure how to do it. Maybe they've not got the experience, but it's things like, I mean, I spoke to the guy who does it
I
for
do
them
przodu albo do tyłu?
3 years ago now, in 2015, before the World Championships, to give some suggestions, and we had a little chat, we had a little feedback session, but obviously he was in a situation that he can't do anything without his bosses saying so and stuff like that. And they've got, like, for example, not the Coruscant that we just had, but the World Championships we had back in May, were they received a lot of criticism for their commentary, and to be honest, the problem isn't so much because the people commentating don't know. There is a space for people to commentate who don't know. Okay, this happens in sports and other professional live coverage, and it's distinct, it's different. So you can listen to a voice that's inexperienced, and it can be just as entertaining. One of the things I've always strived for is, because I personally have never been a very skilled player. If you've seen a stream game of mine from a few months ago, I'm not a tactical genius. I can kind of watch a game from this angle and work stuff out, and sometimes I get pretty clever about it. But I'm never going to be that good, and so I'm not here trying to make out like I'm some sort of insightful tactical genius telling you what they should do, but rather I'm here to accompany you in this experience and try to help bring the tournament experience home to you. That's the thing I've always tried to do. That's why I've always concentrated on the second camera, which shows the players, and typically in lots of events, that second camera, you could see the whole room behind them. I'm trying to help bring, in my first events, I used to go crazy doing interviews with everybody and anybody. The problem was that became a nightmare when it comes to the editing bit, just like looking for all these interviews and cutting them out of the video. And that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to make you feel like you're part of the event, like you're there. And so that doesn't mean I have to tell you what's going to happen. Now, sometimes that can be a good thing in certain cases when, you know, a higher skilled player will be able to tell you, oh, he's pulled off a master stroke there, or you can see what's going to happen here, he's going to do this and this and this. And that can be interesting as well. But that's not to discredit that a more casual observer isn't valid, can't be valid as a commentator. The question is, one of the largest, why is that Cobalt Squadron. Why are they switched around? Okay, I've got to sync these. There we go. So, one of the large problems that they have is that maybe it's just a question of they leave one guy there for too long, and so he ends up running out of conversation. And so what they did as well is they had the chat in front of them, as I remember, because I actually commented on the when people were people like sending them, like talking to them in the chat. And they're going, guys, this is a professional stream. They're not going to answer the chat. And then they just turn around and go, yeah, we can see you. And I was like, oh no. Because, there's a lot of stuff comes through the chat and it becomes confusing. It's like, for example, when you saw, when Simeon played Gilles de Boer in the final, you had in the chat, people were going crazy trying to tell the commentators what they were both champions of. And so the commentators end up getting confused and turning around and saying, "Oh yeah, well, Simeon's dad is the UK national champion," which wasn't true because he played in the final, but it was Van Langelaan who won the UK national champion. Or saying that Jelte de Boer and they were saying Jelte de Boer is the European champion because they were getting confused before all the messages. There's too many people sending messages in chat, and there needs to be a filter. Like if anyone asks me, I do this on my own, not because that's what I want to do. I do it on my own because it has proven to be very difficult to find people to rely on in the sense of creating a team. And like, for example, as you know, for the first few years, I did this completely off my own back, out of my own pocket. And it only got to the point where I lost my job in 2017 that I ended up going to the community for funding to be able to continue. And that became much more serious. And so the thing was, I was doing it free off my own back up until then. And yeah, trying to get people to do this for nothing and relinquish the opportunity to play in a tournament. So for me personally, if I had to get a whole team together, I would go for 4 people. I need 2 people to commentate because I commentate by myself, but I'm bad at it. I do the best I can, but like, you need to have another person to talk to just to help that conversation continue. So 2 people to commentate. 1 person would be sat next to the table with my Control app, which updates the overlay, and that person would basically just be a semi-judge, not exactly a judge because the stream can't get involved with judging, but like he would just be sat there watching the game and updating the info. You'd have to be a person that's very patient and enjoys watching the game. You'd have to be very quiet as well. No, but he'd just sit there and watch the game and update it, because when I'm sat here, I'm doing all 4 roles that I'm telling you about, and I get distracted, and so I miss stuff. And someone who just sat there just sees it all and just puts it in at the moment without getting distracted about anything else. Isn't listening to a conversation, isn't concentrating at finding stuff on the overlay, to update and checking it's updating and stuff like that. So that's kind of where that goes. And that person would also have access to the main console where you can see what's happening in real time. And then the last situation is the 4th person, and this is kind of more conditional. This is the optional person is when you have one person who's there to watch the chat, to interact with the chat. If there's information that's interesting in the chat, to pass it on to the commentators, because not all chat doesn't have any value. But it was things like when they were commentating and they were confusing between the 2 players, all the messages they were receiving, because obviously you type a message in and you say he is the national champion, and at the time when you type it in, they're talking about Jelte. He's the European champion. They're talking about Jelte, and they see he is the European champion. They say, oh, well, he's the European champion because you said he is. You didn't say Jelte is. So that's where that kind of comes from. You just need that one person to be watching the chat, interacting with the chat, keeping them going, making it interesting, controlling them if they get out of hand, passing interesting and pertinent information on to the commentators to help make their job easier, and maybe even being on social networks to publish, to share and stuff like that, to get things animated. One of the things you will have noticed is that I'm not 100% good at getting myself published on Facebook while I'm at an event, because there's so much other stuff I'm doing. Chat interaction is key as far as for some of your experience, and I'm sorry to tell you, but the large majority of people that are watching the games are silent, are not taking part in the chat. it's something like 10 to 15% of people that are on the chat. So whereas chat can be helpful for a commentator, because for example right now I'd be sat here and completely bored if I wasn't talking directly to you, it's not key to the experience. And when you think about the fact this video will then be shared onto YouTube where the chat isn't relevant, the chat doesn't exist, the fact that I'm talking to you right now makes this a very one-sided conversation and makes it very uncoordinated for the person watching later on YouTube. So it's interesting. There's always more room for some extra streamers at Wild. Is there? Are you sure? Because now that they're doing it invite only, probably yes. But before, I'm not sure we could turn around and say there was always more room. Yeah, because they were pretty tight. In fact, I remember when I was discussing the opportunity of going to help them at Coruscant, I was discussing the opportunity to go and help them, and it was a question of saying, well, no, we wouldn't know until we get the replies how many players there were going to be, and so there might not be enough space for me to go stream there myself. Well, this is now with Simeon being the second European to have won World Championship as well. So that was a big accomplishment for us, because I mean Nand obviously when he won, a lot of people kind of discounted it for what it was, but we were trying to point out, especially at Coruscant, at World Championships, that like Europeans go over there in relatively small numbers, and yet as the tournament progresses, their participation increases. So, like for example, we did a chart when they did the Coruscant Championship, that how many, like the percentage of players that were European, and obviously as the rounds went on, they were eliminating people. So after the first stage, we suddenly went up to instead of 25%, we were 33%. So we got through to top 16. It was like going up to 40%, and then obviously once we got to top 4, it was all Europeans. So it was up to 100%. So we were kind of goofing around with that.
Nie, był do przodu. Może trochę krzywo ustawiłeś. Były proste.
Był prosto, dobra. To tak go ustawiam, jasne. Może źle złapałem. Nie ma problemu.
So for the most part, when I am actually doing a proper stream, I try not to talk to the chat too much. When I see something in the chat that I feel I need to respond to, I normally type a message into it. But I won't talk to it because obviously it's not something that works for the whole experience. And one of the things I'd always say as well is that, in my opinion, these events should not be watched on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. You should be sat on your sofa watching this on your TV as if it was any other sporting event. Not that I'm trying to say it's a sporting event, no, but that's the way we're supposed to enjoy it. That's the way we're supposed to consume content in that kind of relaxed and comfortable atmosphere. You know? So I base my whole thing around making it so that a person watching on a HD screen. So, for example, a lot of people complain to me that the MOV bar that's at the top of the screen right now. A lot of people complain to me that the numbers on it are too small to see. Say, you're right, they are too small to see, but if you put it on a HD TV, they're perfectly fine to see. You can see them perfectly fine, even from sat on the sofa 2.5 meters away.
Dobrze, że patrzysz.
Because they're just about that right size for that. It's just And right now I'm in a situation where I have to reevaluate the overlay. I have to start again, but it's proving to be difficult because X-Wing is so up in the air right now as to what's going to happen. So obviously the new stuff got added in with second edition with charge tokens and with force tokens, and whilst there is every possibility that with the oncoming Republic and Federation, or whatever they're called, of independent systems, the Confederation, we're going to see a lot more force tokens come into play because of the because of the Jedis and stuff like that. And
Ty też? Dobra.
that means that right now I've got no idea how to represent force tokens on the screen, because right now I can turn around and say, okay, well right now the maximum number of force tokens you can get is 5 at any one time. The maximum you can get is 5, and for the most part, most people only regenerate run around, and that's the end of it. And so that's okay. That's something I could build into it. But then if next thing I know, there's a
Zaczekaj.
next thing I know there's suddenly you can get 8 force tokens and they can regenerate maybe 2 around, or well, you can do that now if you've got the right crew cards, but there's some sort of weird way of doing it. It makes it a lot more complicated. I don't want to put a lot of effort into designing a thing based on a system as it is now and then find out later that things are completely different. Now what's he got there? And he's got a weapons failure on ship number 3.
Ostatnie.
And that's a fuel leak.
Każdy kolejny kryt to jest dodatkowy hit.
Aha, okej.
To co, czyli zaczynamy strzelanie w takiej sytuacji. Ty nie masz żadnych akcji, które przekazujesz. Na początku
Jonas.
fazy, ja też nie mam, po prostu strzelamy w takim razie.
From the proton bomber.
Mary strzela do ciebie pierwsza. A 5 ma 5 w bezpiecznym zasięgu.
Using the dice tray from the event here.
Którą mogę zamienić ewentualnie.
He's got his blank die for Finn ready. And you get a hit and a focus. 3 blanks with Finn included.
Target lock na te 4.
And he's going to spend the target lock, roll 4 of those. And you get 3 blanks, only 2 hits there.
Wykorzystam moc Ray, zamienię sobie...
And the one for the Ray's force charge.
One się jakoś odnawiają?
Tak, na koniec rundy.
Dobra.
Ten będzie po prostu pusty, a to wydam, żeby założyć ci kolejnego target locka z Rose.
Okej.
And Rose Tycho gives him a target lock.
Ja mam 2.
Rose Tico.
Czyli
And so yeah, I can't turn around and be 100% sure what's going to happen
pierwszy rzut twoimi kośćmi.
with the future waves. So I've got to kind of wait in that respect. And he's playing with metal dice. He's got a blank and an evade.
Dokładnie, czyli 3. Janus mógł tak naprawdę
So he's going to take 2.
Dobrze, to teraz twoje wszystko.
Teraz moje wszystko. Czyli najpierw Janus.
Najpierw Janus. Do
Janus do fokusa, czyli rakietki.
nie może, bo one są w zasięgu 2-3.
A,
Tylko z podstawowej.
Masz rację.
So I know I've got to turn around. I know I've got to try and redo my overlay and kind of think it up again with second edition in mind. But right now I'm worried about doing that because the future's uncertain and I can't base. So we've got 2 blanks
Blank, hit.
and a hit.
No to nic tutaj nie wyciągnę.
Ja mam pustą z Fina i jedną
Blank
obronę.
Finn.
Tylko taką.
Focus.
Fokusa nie mam. Myślę nad tym, czy zrobić sobie tego. Bo mogę zamienić z Force'a jeszcze wykorzystać. To będzie jeszcze strzelał ten. 2 jeszcze będzie strzelał. Po 2 kostki każdy. Z modyfikacją, to bez modyfikacji. Dobra, przyjmę tą jedną tarczę.
Okej.
So he took the shield.
To teraz dalej ten.
Teraz ja. Czyli teraz trójeczki. Ten nie strzela.
Ten nie strzela, ten.
Ten.
Może odpalić rakietkę, jeżeli chce.
Mhm. To jest trójka, tak?
What's that? Gamma Squadron.
Odpala rakietki.
To jest 2, to jest przerzuciłeś z 2.
Sorry.
Spoko.
Tutaj.
Yeah.
Tak jest. I masz tylko, że masz jedną kostkę mniej w ataku, czyli z 2 strzelasz. Z 2.
Dlaczego?
Masz kryta, awaria uzbrojenia na trójce.
Już zapominam.
Jesteśmy w 2, myślę, spokojnie.
Jest dwójka, tak.
No to z 2.
Jak ja się czuję.
Możesz kazać mi przerzucić, ma tam kości obronne, coś takiego.
To twoja wina, wiesz.
To jest trójka. Zobacz, czy mam cię w bluzaju.
Nie będzie tak.
No nie mam. Dobra.
Okay.
I tak 2 hity.
2 hity. Super.
Pusta. Jest jedna.
I think it's hit and crit
Z rej zamienia.
and
Okej.
2 evades.
Znaczy, czekaj, pytanie, czy to
So
ty
very,
musisz
very,
przerzucić
very
od razu,
illegal
czy ja
dice being
pierwszy
used.
decyduję, czy zamieniam?
To nie wiem.
Nie wiecie jak jest?
Sędzia! Sędzia!
Słucham!
Strzela do mnie, strzela do Rej, ona ma tę pustą zamienić może sobie z mocy, nie?
Tak.
On może mi kazać przerzucić dowolną i dam na 2 kości w obronie, czy coś takiego, w tej salwie.
To kto
On
co
najpierw mi
pierwszy?
każe,
Najpierw,
Discussion here is the saturation salvo.
najpierw ty modyfikujesz jego kości, a potem on może zginąć.
okej. Czyli jeżeli rzuciłem jeden evade, to on może mi kazać go przerzucić teraz w tym momencie.
2 kości musisz.
Muszę mieć 2 kości, żeby je
Znaczy,
Znaczy ja zużywam do
przerzucasz maksymalnie do 2
do 2
kości.
kości.
No.
Ale jeżeli masz 2 kości możliwości rzutu, to musisz przerzucić 2
A,
kości.
czyli ta pusta sfina też zostanie przerzucona w tym momencie.
E,
A to jest dodawane.
tak,
Dobra, czyli jeżeli on mi każe teraz przerzucić tego mojego jednego evade'a, to
No.
każe mi też blanka przerzucać.
tak.
Czyli każesz mi to
Musisz
zrobić, czy
2,
nie?
nie możesz wybrać jednej. Tak jak jest.
No,
Żeby było na
nie,
karcie
już
dwie
wiem, już wiem o
lub
co
nie.
chodzi, tylko myślę czy to zrobić.
No ja nie polecam.
No, chyba nie. Dobra.
Dobra, a ja i tak mogę teraz w tej sytuacji wydać drugi force,
Czyli nic.
czyli nic nie wchodzi.
So it looks like in the end he spent the 4 seconds to get a second
Teraz
evade.
zostaje ci jeszcze
Oh, I'm using the wrong mouse.
ten
Potem
i ten.
And didn't take any damage on that attack.
Z 2 kostek, z 3 kostek? Z 3
kostek.
Tak jest.
Na czysto, bez żadnych zmian.
Tak jest. I hit crit.
He'd hit crit because he said so. I can't see those dice. And a blank.
Crit. Czyli bierze raczej crit.
I krycik. No i fajnie.
Przebicia koduła, czyli wszystko co będzie wchodziło już będzie to z
And
krytem.
you got a whole breach.
Mistrzostwo.
Oh, he lost his shields. Wait,
Dobra, to teraz jeszcze ten.
Tylko, a możesz to zmienić jako akcję, możesz.
what happened there?
Okej. Teraz jeszcze ten? Tak. On z 2.
Oh, that was no. He lost the shields there in that same attack. Took them off without me noticing.
Mam cię w bullseye'u, ale to chyba i tak nic nie zmienia, bo nie
Yeah, those are some special metal dice that were made about a year and a half ago, if I remember rightly. They're pretty much, they're really heavy.
Rozstrzej sobie do przodu
They're
do
pretty
Jansa.
much solid steel, I think, and 2 focuses and a crit.
Ja mam 2 kostki.
Tak jest.
There's a focus and a blank.
Mam fokusy.
No chyba nie wydawałeś, wydaje mi się, że
Nie
wydawałeś
wydawałem.
wszystko.
He
Nawet
spends the
chyba nie mogłem.
focus.
Coś takiego, coś
Wydaje mi się, że po prostu wszystko rzuciłeś po prostu. Tak. I teraz z racji tego, że ma tego weterantura genera, to mogę jeszcze sobie z 2 kostek w hitbox strzelić.
Okej.
Uh-huh.
No coś
There's a hit and a blank.
Czyli to jest 2, tak? Tak, tak. 2.
And here we have, I think, an evade and a focus, maybe. I don't know. Those dice are terrible. I can't remember. Let me see if I can find them. But yeah, it was like a year and a half ago. Someone started advertising these metal dice on Facebook, and they're really heavy. They're not legal. Anything that's not a FFG produced dice isn't legal. There we go. No, is that it? No. It's like just normal metal dice. Okay, go back. Let's try metal dice X-Wing. Okay. First result I get is from 6th of October 2016, which is from a Utah X-Wing players group.
koniec fazy teraz ja uzyskuję.
I've been lurking for a while. Here's my first post. I'm a new X-Wing player. I'm also own a metal dice company. So I come from Utah. Before I tried out X-Wing out, had a few people ask if I could make metal dice for X-Wing. I sort of brushed the suggestions. Oh, I got vinyl prototypes. Plan on selling these sets through the holidays. So it's like, yeah, it's from 2016. And let's see, I think I've got here, I've got a link. Here you go, I'll post a link to Reddit in what? Why is it doing that? copy. Can I copy it? Open in Safari. It's taking me straight to the Reddit. Yes, mate. Uh-huh.
There's a little kid from last year.
Oh, right, cool.
He walks.
So the problem last year was that he couldn't walk. And how much do you end up raising for him?
30,000.
Wow.
W sumie miałem jeszcze jedną kostkę, mogę ją przerzucić teraz z targetota.
This was the one from the Princess Leia one, huh?
Mogę sobie
Okay, that's cool. That's very good.
no, kurde.
Uh-huh.
W pierwszym rzucie 3 blanki hit, w drugim rzucie 3 blanki oko.
Mm-hmm.
To kolega. Do imienniku.
No, how old is he? 2.5. No, yeah, of course. It's amazing.
Kolega, bo ja się będę ryczał przez ciebie.
Hey.
Ja
Hello.
widzę.
Yeah. Cool.
Jestem za duży i za poważny, żeby płakać.
And do they live here in Zielona Groni? No?
We are from quite far away, 150 kilometers.
Oh, right, okay.
Therefore, we are not at the spot, not
No, okay.
Mam nadzieję, że nie przyjechałeś, tylko żeby się odwiedzić.
Okay. Come here, look. Let me show you something. Give me a second. 1 second. Can you sit down here with him and we'll show him something. Maybe he'll like it. Okay, now, here is what we have to do, Mr. Man, okay? You see these buttons? Watch this button. Ready? I press this button. It's not switched on. Look. Yeah. I press this button and it changes. You see that? Did you see? Now watch. Now you press this one. And that's you! There we go. Let's change that down. There we go. And we get that out of your face. Huh? How about that? Yeah? This is... Hello, everybody. There are 40 people watching. 40 people watching. So, ladies and gentlemen, this tournament is in its 4th edition. Last year, could you explain to us what exactly was the problem with what's his name?
His name is Thomas.
Thomas. Hello, Thomas.
He was prematurely born, about 3 months too early, and therefore the muscle tension wasn't the right one, and the problem with lungs was quite severe.
Yeah.
And the funds gathered at the last year's event was just a tremendous help for us, and the rehabilitation. Thanks to the rehabilitation, we achieved what we've got now.
Awesome. Excellent. So he's like 2.5 years old, and a year ago he wasn't able to walk.
He wasn't able to sit even properly.
Okay. So it's thanks to, especially, we're a huge contribution, the money that was raised last year. Do you want to say hello? Well done. Hey, well done. Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. So, yeah, last year they raised over 3,000 zloty to help the little boy who had muscle problems and prevented him from walking. And so right now he's kind of tottering around the place, around the table he was tottering around. And that's thanks to the money they raised last year here. Obviously this year they're raising money for a little girl who survived a brain tumor. And she needs ongoing care. And they managed to raise somewhere in the region of 2,000 zloty yesterday. And of course, the money that you're giving, for example, Twitch Prime. If you have Twitch Prime, the money that you give, if you Twitch Prime subscribe to me this weekend, that the money that I would get from that goes straight to the charitable cause. Okay. How do I get this as a link instead of this trash? No. Why can't... Copy link. There we go. Now, in the chat, I'm going to share the link to the metal dice. Where's Twitch gone? There it is. Where in Poland is it taking place? We're in Zielona Grona, or Zielona Groa, or something like that. Unless I see it written down, I can't pronounce it. I don't think I pronounce it very well anyway. But it's kind of halfway between Poznan and, oh gosh, we can hear my voice coming through the phone. Halfway between Poznan and Berlin. So I actually flew into Berlin to get here. Green Hill. So yeah, that was really emotional. Getting to meet the little kid. Let me double check I've got everything up to date because I was distracted and I've managed to put my control laptop away. He's got 2 shields left on the bomber. Oh, there we go, up to date. I think, unless he's got more damage cards on Jonas because he's putting them just off the camera, I'm not able to see. So yeah, if you do have Twitch Prime, please do drop in on here, or alternatively, let me see if I can give you the link that I shared yesterday as well to give for a website. Obviously, if you've not got Twitch Prime, please, we had guys giving us bits yesterday and that was great, but please, when you give money through Twitch gets a large portion of it, and obviously, so if you think you're giving $10 to help this charity, then that's not the case because Twitch are taking their part of it, so please don't go overboard with that. Let me see if I can find now the link I had yesterday. Okay, I'm just going to have to search for it. This one, I think. Oh no, this one. Yeah, okay, it's a Polish site, so that might be a problem for you. Please try and use Google Translate to help yourself out if you do want to give to the charity. Let's see, paste this into here. And there you go, that's the link for the for the charity for this year. Let me double check what's going on here. Okay. He's got rid of a bomber somewhere, hasn't he? Jonas is gone. Yeah. I cut the microphone while I was talking to the child.
I mogę zużyć fokusa,
Możesz.
czyli zużywam...
That's why I had no idea what was going on. I wasn't hearing any dice roll.
No to 2 hity.
One evade. I'm guessing he's got 3 hits at least, if not crit.
Dobra, tak? Czy...
On powiedział,
Co jest napisane w tym
ja chciałem
zapasie?
zawsze mieć milicję w domu, ja cię nie wypuszczę.
Wskaż 2 kości obronne.
2 kości, no właśnie. Czyli mam jedną, to nie możesz mi wskazać.
Gramy sędzia chce kucharski na czas. Dobra. On musi mieć 2 kości obronne, żebym ja tego użył.
Nie musi. Ale jeśli ma, to musi przeżyć.
Dobra, czyli musisz wskazać 2 kości obronne, to nie możesz teraz wskazać tą jedną, którą rzuciłem.
Powiedz mi, co, ty już masz jedną tarczę?
Tak.
To nie. To
Czyli dostanę po prostu tarczę i hita.
to są 2.
He's got a damage card here. He's got a hull breach and a weapons failure on this one.
To 2 chyba?
And that's it, right? No, there's a damage card at the top as well.
Ten sobie strzeli.
Tak.
Use his hand that way. Double check. I don't think so.
To jest
2 damage cards.
tak, on jeszcze on może z 3. Bo podstawową jest.
And Ray has got a hull breach as well.
Czy ja chcę go zużywać?
I don't know what the other one is. I don't remember if I saw it before.
Ma jedną kość obrony. Chcę zużyć.
Focus.
Ten będzie strzelał. To jest 4, ale jest też czerwony wytknięty, więc on będzie mógł użyć tych rakietek. Teraz dostanę 3.
Fajnie, nie?
Fajne.
Dobra, no przyjmę. Czyli 3.
Przeleciały swarmem przez pierwszą rundę.
Dobra. Jeszcze ten został.
Okej. Nie zużyłeś?
Nie.
I on jest...
To jest podstawa. Czy też strzał?
Leci fokus.
You want to do 2 blanks? He gets a hit and a crit from somewhere, I guess. And there's no way. Wow, he's getting damage piled onto that.
Dobra.
This is
Czy bomber strzeli, tak? Tu
the
najpierw?
bomber has now already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage cards. Down to 3 hull points.
Do tego.
Do 5.
Nie? Czyli hit crit to jest 5. Hit
So yeah, those dice are chrome plated, and that's a fuel leak,
paliwa, czyli
which is part of the reason why they're so hard to see. They're just reflecting everything around them.
Nie, na 2. To jak dostanie swoją krytę, może zejść. Dobra, i teraz bomber może zrzucić bombę albo wrócić arka i strzelić. Ale on nie musi obracać arka, tylko strzelić ze 3 kostek tutaj. Po prostu, bo jesteś w pierwszym zasięgu. Wydaję fokus. Czekaj. No tu jeszcze jest 3, która jest też ruszona. To nie jest nieruszony w ogóle.
to jest 4.
Tak, to jest w ogóle nieruszony, jest czysty. To do tego, co jest już ukrycione.
Hey. Hello, crazy policeman. How are you today?
We are breakers.
To jest trójeczka.
So the whole breach and weapons failure
I tak będzie.
on the Gamma Squadron has now been joined with a loose stabilizer.
Czyli jak przelecisz przez coś?
Jak inny manewr niż do przodu, to hit. Okej, idealnie. To idealnie, że... Dobra.
What's going on?
No i wszystko jest.
Because he's got the whole Breachers cards to come and face on.
Koniec.
Koniec.
Tak jest. Możemy się kręcić. Masz nawrotki? Na nich, czy nie?
Out of stock. Yeah, those dice are out of stock. There are some gold and silver ones in stock on dieharddice.com.
Raz skapnąłem się, że on ma chaina.
Yeah, personally, I'm not a fan. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, just before Christmas, there was a
Co to?
No możesz sobie żeton.
there was a
A, to jest do żetonu.
Tak, a teraz działa to tak, że opłacasz nie wszystkie, tylko jeden. I dostajesz...
just before Christmas, there was a guy touting
I jeszcze
some of his own metal dice, brushed aluminium dice, and
Czyli jak spierdzielasz, to możesz sobie...
and how they were basically gravity dice.
No, mało przydatne, nie?
No ale było przegięte w jedynce.
Now that was something obviously a lot of people kind of turned around and said, "Oh, that'd be cool," but like, obviously they're never going to be tournament legal. The guy was saying they were like trying to get them made to be tournament legal, and I was like, they're never going to allow that, man, because if they allow your dice to be tournament legal, then they've got a problem where anybody can make third-party products and try to suggest they're legal as well. So they can't do that. But I argued. I said around. I said, you know, my opinion of this is my opinion is pretty hardcore. I'm very much a perfectionist, and for example, in dice there are a lot of imperfections, and I'd like to see those overcome. And I would, you know, if those things were legal, then I could easily see people being a lot more favouring them a lot more than other dice, for example. You know, any official dice. If you could get like proper gravity dice that are specifically balanced to make sure that they're completely random, then that would be awesome. But that's not really the case. I mean, the tournament dice, the prize dice that get given away at tournaments are technically speaking of a pretty poor build quality, pretty poor fabrication quality, because they're obviously produced in large numbers by a Chinese factory, and they're full of bubbles. I think there is actually one of the guys in the Spanish community who works in a hospital and put his dice through an MRI machine to be able to see where the bubbles were. And so we had pictures, X-ray pictures of dice from an MRI machine showing where the bubbles were. And I mean, when they did clear dice the first time, you could see it from miles away, the bubbles in it, and it was just like disgusting. It was just like, I can't play with these. There's a giant bubble in it that's never going to roll true.
Do tyłu daj ręce.
I don't even think there's any rounds today, guys. I think it's just my clock has stopped, huh? I've got no idea how long is left in the round. God knows how that happened. It seems to happen straight away. Oh, the software that runs the clock is completely shut down. I must have closed it instead of minimizing it. I'm going to pin this to the menu, pin this to taskbar. There we go. So yeah, the time has been stopped for ages. Got no idea how long it's left. It's got to be somewhere in the region of 20 minutes left in the round. So how many rounds? I'm not sure. I guess there's 10 players, so 10 goes down to 5. 5 goes down to 3 in best circumstances. 3 goes down to 2. So at most it's 4 rounds at most. But I personally think they only play like 3. like I said, there's not many people here. They're all friends. Hello. How are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm good. Did you have your Polish breakfast?
No.
No, nobody. Everybody kept talking about the Polish breakfast, and yet nobody had the
Cześć
Polish
dziadał.
breakfast.
Gram pierwszy raz w Second Edition i gram już na turnieju, patrz. Jeszcze na streamie. Już?
Oh,
Ja zrzucam.
I can't hear you. What?
Zrzucam sobie to już. Zatyczka.
They kept talking about how they have to have the Polish breakfast, which is more vodka. Because you drink so much vodka, and then the breakfast is more vodka.
I'm driver today, so no.
Okay. So Karol there is what he told me before he started was this is his first game of Second Edition. Yesterday he was playing Legion. He's not played X-Wing First Edition yet, and this is his first game. And so he went for a power list. He went for the super list.
Tak. Dziadał. Jak przyszedłem i nikogo nie biło, bawiłem się twoim Hanem Solo.
Nie wiesz co mi był wczoraj. On był straszny. To jest serbska krew wyszedł.
Fokus.
Wyliczki. Poleci. Tam poleci. Stresik.
Yeah, for people watching, is anyone having like really bad quality of stream? Because I'm getting on the iPad I use to monitor, it seems really far behind. I'm gonna have to log out and come back into Twitch. It's going really slow. I'm really far behind.
Teraz ten.
Jerky.
Niezależnie co
Blacks
było.
out every now and then.
Miałby też tam odnieść telefon, żeby kamerować.
Leci do przodu. Bez akcji i rzucam. Hit. To jest trójeczka.
To u Ciebie to skryt też.
Czyli to jest kryt. Tak.
Bezpośrednie?
Tak, czyli
Direct hit.
Na jednym.
So does that mean that the card that comes from the direct hit needs to be face up as well?
Aha. I jeszcze ten.
This isn't working.
Poleci w ten sposób.
My stream laptop is telling me everything's okay. But the tablet I use to chat and check the stream is working okay. It is not working okay.
Może zabierzemy od razu tę bombę do wybuchnięcia. Tak. Co?
Am I having some sort of a problem? Tablet with Wi-Fi? Oh gosh. Try resetting the tablet.
Zrobię beczkę.
To moja rej? Mam? Puściłem na stres?
W tego?
Tak, dokładnie.
Okej.
Ten zostaje. Wszystko się zgadza. Bomba wybucha, ten dostaje obrażenie. I chyba nie tylko on, nic więcej.
On ilu
No
zostaje?
ostatni. Zaraz jeszcze upewnię się, ale raczej tak. Raz, dwa, trzy, cztery, 5, 6, 7.
Jeszcze dwa.
Extra damage goes.
Dobra.
2 hit points there.
Okej, strzelamy. Rej pierwsza. No tu strzeli, bo chyba najlepiej tego spróbować wyeliminować, bo może wtedy on mnie nie pogryzie. Trzy.
On jest pusty.
On jest pusty? Który jest jakiś tak na wykończeniu? Ten.
Trójka, tak? Ten.
I ten chyba jeszcze coś dostał też, czy nie?
I to jest
Piątka. To jest piątka. Wiecie, fajnie. A jego nie mam zasięgu. A tego z kolei nie mam warku, więc muszę tylko tu.
Pusta.
Wydaje
Blank,
ten
blank,
trochę.
blank.
Kurde, to jest straszne po prostu. No. 3 blanki z ręki.
Nie możesz od razu użyć tego?
Od razu mogę go zużyć, tak. Trochę go nie kładę.
Hit, focus, focus.
Masz jednak forsa, tak?
There we go, that seems better. Okay. I think I'm back on the chat now. I think the
Czyli na razie hit zwykły.
Dobra. To teraz otworzy. Dwójki. Ta i ta. Ta po tamtym tylko.
yeah, that's much better. Okay, chat seems to be fine.
Ten jest w tamtą stronę, ten tutaj. Tutaj jest dwójeczka, tutaj
jest trójeczka.
jest trójka.
No i tu jeszcze mam dwójkę zostawiam.
Dobra, to najpierw ten jest na dwójkę. Najpierw strzeli ten do bombarka, on to jest piąteczka, z dwóch.
Z dwóch po prostu jest, tak?
Jeden.
Blank and focus.
Nic, fokus, dobra. Teraz
To był dobry pomysł.
on
Gdzie?
też bombera.
To jest bombera. Jasne.
Zużyje rakietki, to jest czwóreczka.
Dobra.
Fire barrage rockets. Hit crit because he said so. Blank.
Okay.
Hit.
The crit is an unknown
Szkodzenie silnika. Jeszcze czerwone.
for now. Looks like it wouldn't make any difference anyway. It's a dead bomber. Star Fortress.
Ty masz tylko seismic charge.
Tak, tylko spismy zostało. Możemy kręcić. Odzyskuję forsę.
A jakie ty masz niebieskie na rej? Kopie?
Łagodne dwójki i do przodu. I plus jedynka do przodu.
Aha.
Right now, really narrow lead in Karol's favour. Although, to be honest, I think the game's over. He's only got to get one more hit point on Ray and he extends that lead. I don't think he's going to be able to... I mean, Ray might be able to take one of the other ships off, but
Baraże.
I don't see him taking the game back. Let me just go see if I can double check how long's left in the
W
round.
ostatnich dwóch rundach to tak rzuca, że nie ma co zbierać z tego statku po prostu. Nawet nie musisz fokusów używać.
Latam swarmem, jako bomberów.
Ten czas jest...
Ale mam te Jonusy.
Which time is correct? This one or this one? This one. This one should be, because it's... Okay, cool.
start, I set up the camera and I don't move the camera all day, okay, or all weekend, okay? Which means that, let's say it's round 1 on Saturday, someone can come on,
Systemówka, nie wiem, masz jeszcze bomby,
capture that screen,
ale to nie ma, ale no, jasne. W sumie masz podkręcone bomby.
and I've done this myself.
Nic rzucać.
In Photoshop, do this, 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 and this, where the 4 corners are. Turn it into a square, and then put that into basil. And so every single, and of course you don't have to wait until the end of a round. Once everybody stopped moving, just from a Photoshop macro, you can just from the screenshot, turn it into a map, put it into Vassal, position the ships, and turn around and say, okay, next round, you go 2 hard right,
Ja też jestem jak najbardziej za tym, żebyśmy zagrali jak najwięcej.
and you can do it.
Leci tutaj.
Range and everything. So it's scary.
Dwa społowione chyba, nie?
So yes, I take phones away from people. And also because, and that's like the extreme example, but the most basic example is just like, for
Który to jest
example,
ten, co tak ledwo żyje?
target lock. Old example of fire control systems. I forgot to put my target lock. And your friend sends you a message.
Szkoda, że ty dostajesz hita.
Oh yeah, and then that's information from outside.
A, rzeczywiście.
It's kind of like the whole thing about
Kurde,
the
rzeczywiście.
phone calls. Fuck up. Saying they forgot to do the hard
Nie, zapomniałem zupełnie.
That's
W
information
ogóle
from
było
outside.
przebicie kabluła, ale to nie jest ważne.
To jest uszkodzenie czynników.
But then that's like the worst example is this: is that
Dobra.
you can take a
Grasz
screenshot
pierwszy
from
raz,
the stream
to już w ogóle nie znasz karty nawet.
No karty
import it into
zupełnie nie
Vassal
pamiętam, nie?
and work out what the best
Okej, ten poleciał.
possible moves
Czyli jeszcze ten.
to do are.
On sobie poleci dwójką.
Very close,
Stone.
about 15% error, margin of error. Very close, not 1 millimeter, but like very close.
Ktoś coś zrobił?
Nie, nic nie robisz. Do przodu, to będzie fokus.
Especially if you have the playmat positioned in a way that you can see all 4 corners. Like right now, it's not, but when I started yesterday, it was. So it's obviously the camera's drifted a little bit. But if you can see all 4 corners of the playmat, then yeah, it's
Beczułka.
well, I say really easy. It's not easy to do if you know what you're doing. You take the screenshot into Photoshop, you say these are where the 4 corners are. You run a transformation script to turn it into a square that's 2,600 pixels by 2,600 pixels. You then import the Vassal, which is about the same size as the map. Then you get the Vassal, you load the map, and you put your ships the way you want them.
I assume that there were people
I don't know if there were people doing it. I know that I could do it if I wanted to. So that's enough. That was enough for me to turn around and say, okay. I did it. I did. I was watching a stream. The round timer has stopped, but it's like they've got a timer on the table that's going. There's about 5 minutes left for them.
I zostaje mi stres, dostaję jeszcze dodatkowo.
So I did
Aha, dobra.
before I started doing videos, I did a blog.
Ty masz arki gdzie?
Do przodu.
Do przodu, czyli strzelisz co najwyżej w niego.
Tak,
And one of the ones I did was there was a really good game.
to strzelam.
From actually Store Championship
Dwójce?
in 2015.
Pustą kostką.
Mine was squad podcast. It was like 2.5 years or a year and a half before mine squad podcast existed. And he was playing in a final.
No nice. Ładnie.
Of the Store Championship.
I on został na ilu?
A store called Shuffle
On
Cup
ma
in South
2.
California. And
Dwa. Muszę to wydać,
he
chyba,
was
żeby
playing
przeżył.
with Whisper and something else. The other guy was playing 2 B-Wings and 2 Y-Wings.
Jeśli dwa, to możesz przeżyć. Muszę to wydać. Wydaję forsa, żeby cię
I
zabić.
expected him to do
Okej.
O, tak, wszystko się zgadza.
I expected the B-Wings to do
Możesz wydać, fokus nie ma to znaczenia.
A dostanę 3. Raz, dwa, 3.
loaded the screen into the Vassal and I did like a whole blog
To tak
post.
się na początku dobrze
And I
trzymało,
might, if
jak
I
nagle spadał.
you know, I might try and find
Dostajesz, teraz masz tego jednego, który strzela.
On jest na jedynce, czyli
Trzech kostek.
czwórka
Yellow
z
takes
3
the lead again in the last few seconds.
z
again.
fokusem.
What happened?
He killed a Omar.
There were many ships a few moments ago, and
Yeah,
now
but it was like he was wiping them out.
Dostajesz krytę. No tak czy inaczej dostał kostkę. Może w kokpicie. od następnej rundy będzie.
Co będzie? Co jeszcze raz?
Pożar w kokpicie. Będę musiał rzucać przez strzałem, bo mogę dostać jeszcze hita. To co, ostatnia runda jeszcze?
Jasne.
Dobra.
Ja cię mogę społowić, nie?
Już nawet twoją spowiedź, bo ona ma 11, więc musisz bić mi 6. Zabiłeś mi 3 tarcze i właśnie w tym momencie dobiłeś do połowy.
Okej.
Także udało ci się to zrobić w tym momencie. No ale ja ryzykowałem, chciałem tak tego się powiedzieć też.
No i tak nie wiem, czy to wystarczająco, żeby...
Ile mi to warte?
Co nie mam pojęcia, bo to jest...
No, nie wiem, tak, dobra.
Still exists, yeah, but there's nothing interesting there. It's like videos that like 2014 to 2015 for like 2 months.
Okej,
I
ten jeszcze ma sejsmika,
I
prawda?
stopped doing it, I started concentrating on making videos. This game looks like going down to one ship as well. No, there's one bomber in front of the Falcon. There's another bomber that's gone somewhere. There, there's 2. And the top one's there as well. Okay.
I'll need to swap to play.
Yeah, I'll show you later. Now it's called block.
Nie, ty masz 4, masz tylko z jednym zranieniem i 2 chyba też. Tak, oni są tylko, obaj mają po jednym zranieniu. Po prostu. Ja się muszę zapytać, ile są warte twoje statki.
Clemens? To Clemens.
Wartość punktową mają to.
Został mi 2...
Gamma, została mu gamma i 1 ten.
No tak, dość istotne. Już mam.
Zanim zaplanuję manę, to też mówiłem, że to jest ostatnia runda już. Wóz albo przewóz, jak to mówią. Bo możesz mi, tak naprawdę jesteś w stanie zabić ją. Bo ja mam, sam się mogę zranić, dostać kryta za przebicie kadłuba, może być jakiś direct, może być fueli, który odpali kolejną. I każdy kolejna to jest tak naprawdę kryt dla mnie, więc czego nie trafisz,
słabo,
to jesteś w dobrej sytuacji.
Po prostu możecie w jakiś sposób zaatakować.
Tak, dokładnie tak. A ja muszę się nie obronić przed tym. Jedną moc sobie zregeneruję.
Czyli najlepiej, żebym zaatakował tą 3. Zobaczymy. Ta 3 to będzie ciężko. Będzie ciężko.
There we go.
To myślę, że niezależnie od tego, ile chcę na punktów, zrobię takie ruchy.
Dobra.
Na Januszu, nie pamiętam. On miał tylko bomby.
Na końcu Janusz jest.
Tylko rakiety, to...
Chyba razem.
Już skończyliście, nie?
Tak.
Runda leci.
Yeah, I think he's back there behind the curtain.
Czekam na, nie wiem ile kosztują te 2 bombery, co zostały. Czy są warte więcej niż połowa regi?
Nie moje statki.
37 kosztuje dwójka,
37 dwójka.
tak, cała.
Cała dwójka 37, dobra.
A trójka kosztuje 42.
No to będzie chyba dla niego w tym momencie.
I Jonus kosztuje też 40.
Czyli 42 i 37, tak?
Tak.
To ma 79?
Czyli ty więcej. Nie.
79. To ja mam w tym momencie 79, ty masz 79 na stole.
A ty masz?
A ja mam połowę ręki. To tak naprawdę to jest 50.
50 coś. I to jest tam lepszy.
To jest lepsza sytuacja. Jeszcze. To lecimy, czy chcesz jeszcze coś zmienić?
Nie, lecimy.
No to zasuwaj. Ty jesteś pierwszy.
Najpierw dwójka.
Sejsmiki nie?
Nie.
Dobra.
Będzie pan?
Siedem.
No, czyli...
Po prostu.
Okej. Nieźle. Nie, leci w niego. Dobra. I ten poleci po prostu do przodu. Coś może zrobić z tym. Nie, to... No nic, czyli fokus.
Taki fokus, tak, dokładnie. Ja robię 2 do przodu.
Idź do przodu, czyli...
Bampię się po prostu.
A,
Tu się nie zmieszczę,
no
bampię się w
dobra.
tego. Czyli tego mam po prostu, mogę do niego ewentualnie wypalić, jeżeli chcę.
No to...
I to jest koniec. Czyli
Możesz-
z 4 kostek.
możesz
Mogę go
spróbować,
społowić,
no.
a mogę go może zamordować, jak będę miał mega szczęście. Może twoimi powinienem rzucić? Bez kitu. Wiesz co, chyba tak robię.
No
Czemu nie? Jedna pusta swina i 4 dlatego, że mam po prostu zasięg pierwszy.
No, to ci się może udać. To ci się może udać, że wykonam dwie.
No nie ma takiej, nie jest jakoś wbitnie. Jest pusta.
Możesz jednego zmienić fokusa, tak?
Jednego fokusa mógłbym zmienić sobie, żebym chciał albo jednego blanka. Ale ja chyba wolę zrobić tak, że wydam to na target locka, to przerzucę po prostu, tak? Chcę. Tak mam dwa pewne. Czekaj. To mogę zmienić z tego, jedno mogę przerzucić. Wolę dwie przerzucić. Wolę dwie przerzucić, walić to. Czyli wydaję to
Okay,
target locka
so-
i wydaję go od razu, żeby przerzucić.
Let's see what happens here with Ray.
No niestety. Czyli z forsa po prostu blanka, czy cokolwiek, nieważne.
3.
Czyli 3 dostajesz, tak jest. No to 3.
Wchodzą 3.
2 blanks.
Nie, no musiał być
Have
5.
to get him half points on another ship.
To jest dwójka.
Which one? That one.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Dzięki.
And that's the end.
Mnie również.
You didn't manage
Ale
to
twoje kostki nie leżą mi.
get half points.
Co się
Zaraz
But
stało?
it was really narrow margin
Zachowałeś
there.
na koniec.
141 to
Było
142.
skorzystać z nich. Ręce trochę kalaczą, bo ja nie wiem czy zauważyłeś, ale ja strasznie tak cały czas tak trę kości, nie?
Aha,
Cały czas
no,
jak rzucam, to po
oczywiście.
prostu cały czas tak trę.
No bo my tam...
Się ze mnie śmieją chłopaki w Pruszkowie, że pocieranie kości po prostu, wiesz. Nawet nie wiem kto wygrał, szczerze powiedziawszy dalej. Okay, thank you.
No, you know what the points are now.
I think I won. Or maybe not.
Work it out, guys.
Yeah, I will. You know already?
I know. Well, I think I know.
Okej, cool. Okej, bo ten mówił tak, że twoja, który był warty ile w końcu? Ja już pogubiłem, szczerze powiedziawszy.
Musiałbym wiedzieć, znaczy bym szybko to przeliczył, tylko nie wiem co ma jaką wartość.
Zostało ci 30, albo miałeś tak, jeden kosztował 42 punkty, drugi 37. Czyli zaokrągać to w górę. Czyli jeżeli zostało ci 42, to zostało ci 42 plus 19. To jest 51.
Zostało mi 51.
Albo
Albo
straciłeś-
te statki też się społawiają.
te są całe, tak, nie, tak, te małe też się społawiają.
Aha.
Małe też się
Dobra,
społawiają.
dobra.
Czyli zostało ci, jeżeli zestrzeliłem tego za 42 punkty z kolei, to mam 21 za niego, czyli zostało ci 21 plus 37.
Czyli 50...
8?
21 plus 37, tak 58.
Czyli moja array kosztuje 104 w tym momencie, czyli 52 punkty zostały mi
52.
i mam 7 punktów bida, czyli 59 punktów. Czyli w obu wypadkach albo o punkt, albo tam o 4 wygrałem, czy coś koło tego. Tylko musimy się dowiedzieć, który ile był warty, bo nie pamiętam.
Do you want a calculator? Do you want pen and paper, or?
I think I won, but I don't know how. it will be 1 point or
I don't
1
know,
point?
I don't know
Yeah,
points
1
of
point.
cards.
1 point, because I have this ship, it was for 47, yeah, something like that. So that one is 32 plus 19.
This one is full, yeah?
Yeah.
You didn't get
Yeah,
half
it's
points.
full
You got this one, you got those three, half points, and
Yeah.
that one nothing.
Yeah.
And he's got the half points on her.
And plus this one.
Yeah, so it's like, so let's have a look here.
Yeah.
If I've got,
I can put the calculator.
it's 141 to 142.
Tak, 140 wygrałem punktu po prostu.
Jednym punktem wygrałem. No i super.
You had 142, you had 141.
Very close.
And yeah, like when you got the half points on you, it's like,
No, okej. No miałem w ostatnim rzucie 2 blanki.
To było 37 punktów, a tu było 42, prawda? Na czwórce.
Trójki kosztują 42,
Trójki 42.
7 kosztują dwójki.